Hi, good evening. Welcome to an MUWSC Podcast number 70. Tonight, I'm joined by Fiona and Shane. Welcome both. You both okay?
All good, thank you, mate. You?
Yeah, not bad. It's weird. I wanted to call it the BA Podcast because it's been that long since I've done one. We've rebranded in between, so I've not actually done one for a while. So yeah, no, it's I'm good. Right. Tonight, we're going to be talking about Tottenham. From Sunday, we're going to be looking ahead, and I think we're also going to be looking back at some of the. Maybe we'll talk about some of the other games. But before we do, any members out there who haven't replied to the email we sent out last night, please do so by noon tomorrow. It's really important that this email is replied to. So just please reply. Right, let's talk about Sunday. I think the first thing for me, Fiona, we'll start with you on this one, is Friday afternoon, news dropped that Jackie was picked up a hamstring injury. Now, as you can see, everyone can see by Fiona's reaction, it kind of came out of nowhere. Fiona, what was your initial reaction to Jackie now picking up an injury?
Bit surprised, first of all. You know, we've had quite a long break, and then they said, well, she had it picked it up during the international break. It's like, yeah, well, that ended quite a while ago now. It's just that we haven't had a game. That was kind of my first reaction. Then I was thinking, who's going to be our creative spark in midfield? You know, she hasn't scored, but she can play some beautiful passes to set up goals. And then my third reaction was, what is Marc Skinner going to do in midfield? Because he's been very consistent with his selection. So what was he going to do now?
Yeah, and actually, that's a great point. I want to come back on that. First of all, good evening, Ref. Hope you're well. Shane, when you heard the news about Jackie, were you pretty much the same as Fiona?
To a degree, I wasn't surprised at all. I think it's not that I wanted it to happen, of course, but I think it's been one of those things. It's been a long time coming because she goes away with Holland and plays all the time. And the amount of times we've been there saying, like, you know, she's been playing in these friendlies or when they've already qualified for a tournament and she's been played for 90 minutes and where they're concerned going, she's going to come back injured one of these days. And lo and behold, the day has happened. So I wasn't surprised in a way, but gutted because I think she's, you know, even 3 seasons in, she's so important to the midfield for us.
Yeah. And that goes back to the point we're going to come on to now. Evening, John Neville. Evening, Debs. Evening, Tashi. So we all take part in the lineup league, as many others do out there. So Fiona, I'll go to Shane first because Shane is obviously the reigning lineup league champion.
Probably not for much longer by the looks of it.
Probably not. When you were picking your team for Sunday,
mm-hmm.
Who did you have in place of Jackie? Because I think most people, and I'm one of them, had someone different than who actually played.
I had Boarisa for the simple reason that probably it's a myth now, but I bought into the idea that with Millie out injured, that we were keeping Hayley Ladd on the bench as almost like a backup centre back because of not having any cover in there. So I went with Boarisa for that and the fact that I think she's, you know, she has lacked game time and she does add something. She's a physical player. She can control the play, slow play down when needed. She can find passes of what we've seen. So yeah, that was my motive behind going for her. Not necessarily over Hayley, but yeah. So I don't begrudge Hayley starting at all for what it's worth. I think it could have gone to either of them, but I thought because of her lack of playing time, I thought Boarisa would have been a shoo-in.
Fiona, come to you on exactly the same point in a minute. Evening, Sang, glad you're here. Evening, John Fry. Evening, Vicky. Fiona, did you have a starting as well?
Yeah, I had Boarisa in my starting 11.
Made that the three of us then. We all had a starting. At the ground, someone made a comparison. And I want to get your actual... Someone made a comparison that Vilda Boarisa is the female version of Donny van der Beek. Do you buy into that? Do you buy into that? Either of you?
Not yet. Donny's had it for a season and a half now. She's only been here a few months.
True.
Yeah, she did
true.
play. She played in the Durham game, didn't she?
She
She
did.
had minutes against Birmingham.
Well, I was on a podcast on Monday, and she's played a total in the WSL of 94 minutes. That's all. And she played, 80 against Reading, I think. And she's picked up minutes here and there. But the midfield is a very interesting conversation right now, Fiona, because on Sunday we played Hayley Ladd, who we haven't seen really at all this season. She's played bit parts. And yet we've got Zelly, who has played every single minute of the games. So do you think, is Marc Skinner trying to change Katie Zellem's position from an attacking midfielder that she was in the championship season and probably our first WSL season to now more of a defensive midfielder to try and get her in the team for her set pieces, which we'll get onto as well later?
He must be, because if we look at, say, for example, playing Chelsea, we didn't play Hayley Ladd starting then, which you'd have thought would be her kind of ideal game to have her in as a defensive midfielder. You start Katie Zellem instead. So I think he must be thinking of her as a defensive midfielder, because against Chelsea, you're not going to play 3 attacking midfielders. You need somebody covering. She can do some nice simple passes in the midfield to calm things down a little bit against some of your bigger opponents. But I wouldn't necessarily say she's a defensive midfielder. I don't see her putting in the tackles that you'd expect Hayley Ladd to put in. So I think he's trying, but it's going to take some time, and I don't know if Ty's necessarily on his side for that.
Yeah, and we'll come on to some points you just made there. Just go through some of the comments. Evening, John Fry. Vicky says, free Bo Risa. Evening, Karen. Deborah answers in reply to that, we'll buy a Bo Risa badge, which, again, we might try and get talked about. Vicky said that we were too defensive in midfield. And John Fry says he had Bo Risa starting over Zelly. Then he goes on to make a point. He can see Bo Risa leaving in the summer if she doesn't get game time soon. Vicky says that's a sad stat for the 94 minutes that she's only played. John then says, sorry to say, guys, I think Katie Zellem is our weakest link at the moment. Vicky then says, Zellem seems to have been gradually moved back over the years, but she isn't the number 6 for me. And John says, when was the last time Katie Zellem scored a class free kick for us? Honestly, I can't remember. John, that will be answered by either of the statos in a couple of minutes, I reckon. I bet they're both sat there now racking the brains.
It was Rangers pre-season, wasn't it?
That doesn't count, though. You can't count a free kicking at pre-season, surely.
Still a free kick.
All right, still a free kick, right. John, if you want to accept Rangers if
it weren't Rangers, then maybe Blues last season away.
Yeah.
That's the immediate one that springs to mind.
There we have it. Shane, John Fry said it. Oh no, someone in the comments, Vicky said the midfield was too defensive. Did you agree with that?
Yes, considering who we were playing. Tottenham got their first ever points against us, and first goal since the last time they scored a wind-assisted free kick, which was right back in the first season. You don't need two holding players to play against Tottenham, I don't think. In terms of Katie, I think it's been longer than this. I don't think this is a Marc Skinner thing, trying to play her or turn her into a defensive mid. I think Casey was already going down that route, probably from the first season in the WSL. There was quite a lot of times where it was highlighted that it was always Zellem and Ladd playing, and more often than not, Hayley was the one that was pushing forward and Katie was the one sitting back. So I don't think it's a Marc Skinner tactic to play more defensively. I think that's the role she's sort of had in the team for a few years now. Is it working? Probably not. I think Hayley's much more capable. That doesn't mean to say Katie can't do a job there, but as I said, you've got to pick your best in the best positions for games. And, for me, Hayley is our best defensive midfielder by a mile.
Yeah, and I just want to go on. Vicky agrees. Birmingham away last season, wasn't it? And John Fry says, no, not Rangers. And Sang asks, 94 minutes all season. That's just in the WSL, Sang. She has played a full 90 minutes in the Conti Cup game against Durham. John Fry says, look at the men. We're playing with 7 defensive players and the women seem to be going down the same road. At the very beginning of the season, I was quite impressed with the way Marc set his team up, because it seemed to me he was playing a more attacking way than we were used to under Casey. But now it seems we seem to be going very defensive. So we're all saying we would have all dropped either a Hayley or a Katie on Sunday to get in a Vilda. But one player that seems to have dropped out of favour as well, Fiona, is Lucy Stan. Now, is it just we've got too many really good midfielders to fit into what Marc seems to be playing as a 3? Or has he now found, Katie Zellum is now, I think, undroppable, and he's trying to fit everyone else into 2 positions? And do you think Katie Zellum's undroppable?
That's the thing with Lucy Stan. She has played most games. She started quite a few games and now has been a sub. So, and I don't think she's necessarily had a bad game in that time. I just wonder, what is he trying to get out of the midfield and whether then she fits into that. Maybe he's realised that Katie Zellum isn't the defensive midfielder that he thought she was, and that's why Hayley got brought in as well to act as more cover. But against Spurs, you shouldn't need that. And then, I don't know, Lucy Stan and Jackie can play together. That isn't a problem. And I think then with Tooney, there has been rotation on the field, like so go out wide for 5 minutes or come central, that kind of thing. So I think it adds a bit of fluidity to or flexibility to our midfield. So I quite like her in there. Does she necessarily deserve to start every game? I don't think we've seen a performance where we go, yeah, she's amazing, she needs to start every game. But I also don't think there's been a game where you go, she was absolutely awful, she shouldn't start. On Katie Zellum, I think if she wasn't captain, she'd be dropped on form. She can have good games, but she just hasn't had them recently. And then we say it for the men. Why wouldn't we say it for the women? If a player's not in form, don't play them. Yeah. But I think captain's armband there kind of keeps you in that 11.
I know one of the things that on Sunday that watching the game live was that she gave the ball away a bit too much. But then she, in the second half, when Martha Thomas came on, you and I were stood together, Shane, she played a ball over the top. And I think Katie Zellum was the only player on the pitch who could make that pass. Would you agree with that, Shane?
Yeah. She has got a really decent long range pass in her. We don't see it often enough, I don't think, and that might not be particularly down to Katie as an individual. I think that's just the way we play a lot of the time. We have a lot of emphasis on our wingers, and we do try and go, use our width as much as we can and then cut inside. So we don't have much scope in our tactic, I think, to be playing long passes like that. And you don't want to become a long ball team either, but I think out of most of the players, Katie's the most capable of pulling out one of those long ranges, certainly.
Yeah, just going to go through some of the comments. Vicky says, I just don't understand why she has no physicality and she shirks tackles. I mean, there was a few United players pulling out tackles on Sunday, which annoyed me. Then she also says, in the first few games, you seem to have more control and possession. That has just gone downhill from then. Sang is saying she certainly seems to be. I think that's in context to Zellum. Is she undroppable? Vicky says Lucy Stan is a 10 in competition with Tooney. Only fit her in when she's played as a false nine. And yeah, I definitely agree with that. John Fry says pushing our wingers inside to let our fullbacks be our wingers just isn't working for me. Last season's games, and look at the way Leah and Kirsty H ran down the wings and got crosses in. We're not doing it this season. Yeah, completely agree. Vicky then says Tooney's been more effective than Lucy Stan. We only see glimpses of, I presume that's Zelly. One pass in 90 minutes not good enough. I agree with that. Vicky then says set pieces have gone downhill, and she needs a lot more time on the ball than you get in the WSL. And then Sang asks, do you believe Katie Zellum long-range passing is enough to guarantee her a spot in the midfield? Also, do you have the strikers to benefit? We'll come back onto that one. I want to go back onto a point John Fry made, and it's something that I've watched now for the last couple of games. It's predominantly about Kirsty and Leah. Do you think they're playing too narrow, Shane?
Yeah. Without a doubt. As I said then, we emphasise our wing play quite a bit, but I think as someone's pointed out in the comments, we seem to be asking the wingers to come more inside to allow the fullbacks to be wingers. We're almost playing with wing backs. And I think Hannah and Honor have both done an absolutely fantastic job of it. Don't get me wrong, I think Hannah's been absolutely outstanding. Honor's been Honor. We know the standard Honor's got. She's brilliant. But it's almost to the detriment of what Kirsty and Leah can offer. And I'm not going to dig on Leah, but Leah doesn't really have a brilliant right foot on her. So when she cuts in from the left wing, there's not really that output. And that's not a criticism. It's just the way it is. Leah's far more effective when she gets down the line, gets crossing with the left. We've seen it right at the end of the game. Tottenham have just equalised. We've gone straight up the other end of the pitch and almost gone back to our basics. Leah's whipped one in. Leslie's nearly got a header in. You ask yourself, if we'd have done that for 90 minutes, would we have had more than one goal? Maybe yes, maybe no.
Yeah, and I don't understand it because it shows that when we're going down the sides, they're just cutting in all the time, and I don't like it. I'm used to playing with two out-and-out wingers, and that's what we've got. Let's go to the question, though, that Sang asked Fiona. Do we have a striker to benefit from the long-range passes? Do you think Leslie is that player?
Well, it doesn't even have to just be strikers that benefit from the long-range passes. Just think back to the first game of last season, Jackie's beautiful long-range pass to the wing that led to the goal against Chelsea. We've got people like Leah, Kirsty, they can run on to the end of that ball if we were keeping them wide. But Leslie's quick. She can get onto the end of that ball as well. So I think it goes down to our style of play, deciding not to use that option and trying to go through the middle, ball on the ground a lot more. I think I was stood next to Sarah at the game and we were saying, why have we not done that? Why have we not tried something different? Don't just play all long balls over the top, but also don't just try and pass through the defence. Add a bit of variety to it.
For me on Sunday, I think the game it was kind of neutral game. It was kind of neither team really wanted to go for the win. It was a bit hickledy-pickledy, I think, for me. And I was looking at the bench and, Casey last year said, we've got game changers on the bench. I just didn't see that on Sunday. I was worried at times. But, Shane, would you have a change in formation to make sure you're pushing out Leah and Kirsty instead of playing them inside?
Maybe, yeah. I mean, it's not abundantly clear what formation we're playing really at the moment, unless we're going the infamous 4-2-3-1, which is probably what it is. But I'd prefer to see it more as an out 4-3-3, I guess. Let Leah and Kirsty stay wide. If your fullbacks need to overlap, they can overlap. If your fullbacks need to come inside, they can. Honor can use a left and right, so can Hannah. They're both adaptable to whichever wing, so you can mix it up a bit there. But I do think it does come back to style of play, and the wingers aren't wingers at the moment. And I'd like to see them back to that, because we know how good Leah can be, and Kirsty.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just going to go through some comments before I come on to a question for Fiona. Vicky says, missed the wing play, they look lost. Sang says, one of them should venture a bit wider. Vicky then comes back with, using the full backs like that also leaves us wide open when teams catch us on the break. John Fry says, Leah doesn't look as happy as last season to me. Sang says, Leah's been poor compared to last year. Vicky says, every team should play to their strengths, and Leah is the GOAT. And then John Fry says, but if Winger's not there, no one to pass to. Vicky says, the narrow shape of the team does not help us. Leah and Hanson were almost telepathic when they played their natural roles. Almost looked over at coaching at times. John says, to me, we lost our lead on Sunday. Russo was pushed to right wing. We should have stayed as our number 9. Scared to be spontaneous and play the game in front of them. And he says, if they're not playing as wingers, we could drop one. And Vicky says 4-3-3 was what we used when we were at the top last year. One of the interesting formational changes for me was at the beginning of the season, Hannah Blundell played in her natural position of right back and Honor played in her unnatural position of left back. And now more recently, he's playing Honor in her natural position as right back and Hannah Blundell in the unnatural position of left back, Fiona. Do you like the fact that the two fullbacks can actually swap and make an impact to the way they do in our games and maybe change the games?
I think it's great that they're both, you say natural right back or natural position on left back, but I don't think we've seen a drop in performance even though they've swapped sides from both of them. I think that's great that we have a bit of versatility in that. You know, if one of them, Touchwood, gets in, doesn't any injuries, which you don't want, Touchwood, at least you've got somebody there that can play in their position very well. I don't know if it's trying to get something different out of them going forward. Maybe Honor prefers crosses with her right. I don't know, but I think when we saw Honor playing as left back, we saw her coming inside, scoring, having shots, that kind of thing. So yeah, it's good that they can do it, but I think we should be considering how we play and how they fit in. Keeping them wide to whip in crosses is great, but we need to think about what position they're best defensively, but also can they come inside as well? Like we said, play not just wide all the time.
Yeah, I like the fact that he can swap them over, because in pre-season he also swapped Leah and Kirsty over. He played Kirsty on the right, on the left, and Leah on the left. And I like the fact that he does experiment those kind of things. Vicky very simply puts, our fullbacks are superb. Both are versatile, and along with Leslie Back and Mary's performance have been a highlight. And John Fry, Leah looks happy with Honor behind her. I want to talk about Mary, Shane, because sometimes we say her distribution's poor, her kicking's poor, this, that, and the other. But actually, I think on Sunday we have to praise her for how good she really was. Her shot stopping. For me, it was a hard push to try and pick a United player of the match, but Mary Earps would have definitely been up there for me.
Absolutely. I thought Mary was outstanding, and Mary was probably the reason that we come away with a point on Sunday. I think if it hadn't been for, even from the corners, they were whipping the corners in right on top of her at the back post. She held on to, I can't think of one that she didn't hold on to. She was brilliant. That save from, I think it was Kit Graham, had that long range, albeit speculative shot, but it was going in. She had to make that save, and she did it superbly. So I think the only person that trumps her for me on Sunday was Hayley Ladd. I thought Hayley was absolutely tremendous, in what she did. And hopefully for her, that maybe cements her down as a starter again, in the coming games. But, yes, we have been critical of Mary in the past. I think what's helped her as well is the fact we've got Sophie Bagley in. I know we spoke about this on a couple of times recently, that having someone there who's been a starter for a team in the WSL. I know it was Bristol, I know they got relegated, but she's got that experience. It's someone there to push her, and Mary's certainly up to game.
Fiona, on that point, because Shane and I have talked about it, quite a bit about Mary actually having proper competition for her first team play. Do you think that's absolutely pushed her on to be this good, or was she always this good? We just haven't really seen it.
She's always been a great shot stopper. Nobody can argue against that. She made some great saves in previous seasons. We were always a bit more disappointed with her distribution and also her goalkeeping for crosses, whether that be corners or just crosses into the box. Those weren't great. Sophie's known for her distribution. That's one of her strengths. So having somebody that push her in that, but also maybe give her a few tips and tricks, that kind of thing, has really improved Mary. I would say last season we didn't see that much improvement, but this season, it's like a different player almost. Like Shane said, don't think she dropped a single cross into the box. And we all know what happened Everton 2 seasons ago. Crosses into the box. You'd all be a bit nervous after that. But I think she's definitely, I wouldn't say we were against Mary, but she's kind of gotten into our more favourable opinions at the moment.
Yeah, and I'm just going to come on to some comments. Vicky says, Mary is improving all the time. John Fry, I called Russo player of the match, closely followed by Mary, and I mean closely. Sang says, other than the goal, Mary had a great game. Not a blinder of a game, but she was great. And then that free kick. Yeah, that free kick. Vicky says, we have really missed Hayley. And Vicky, Sang says to Vicky, replied to Vicky, Hayley is always good. John Fry says, after Sunday's game, Hayley must be first name on the midfield sheet. And Vicky says, I think Mary responds well to competition, and playing for England will have given her a boost after they treated her so badly. I was impressed with the back. I was impressed with the whole defence actually on Sunday, and I don't know who it was, but someone who I was stood near said that Aoife Mannion is the best central defender United women have ever had. So who wants to make that argument?
Yeah, someone didn't they? I can't remember who it was, but I remember hearing that. Yeah.
So who wants to make that argument?
I don't know if it's a bold claim so early on.
Yeah.
I'm not taking anything away from Aoife, by the way. She's been brilliant. She has been brilliant, but when you consider what Amy Turner did for us, centre back, right back to centre back, and Millie as well. Millie, who before this season missed one league game, I think, or one game even, which was in the cup, and I think got subbed off once in a league game. I think it was against Tottenham, actually, ironically. But, Millie's the one that's missed out this season. I don't think we can say after this many games into the season, someone's our best ever. I think let's maybe make those kind of calls at the end of the season to see what happens. But if she carries on as she's going, absolutely no reason why she couldn't be up there.
The one thing that I liked, and I think I pointed it out, I don't know whether it was to you, Shane, or to Rob, who I stood next to, that every time the ball went out to play, Aoife was on every single player. She was giving them what for. And I love that. And I think, I think she's a proper captain, but she's not got the captain's armband. I think she's come into the dressing room and she's kind of taken that aura of authority with her, and I love to see that, and I love the way that she was on all the players. John says in the comment, we'll let Fiona answer this one, can someone tell me what that free kick was for their goalers? Watch the game again and still couldn't see it. We'll give you a bit of thinking time on that one, Fiona. Vicky says Mannion reads the game really well. Sang Hannah for England, he's just getting his campaign going. Vicky says about Aoife, she has fantastic leadership qualities. John Fry would have loved to see Aoife and Amy Turner together. Actually, you know what? I think I would as well, actually. And then not sure Maria is her best long-term partner. Fiona, free kick, what was it for?
I don't know, because it was a foul on a United player. I don't know how they gave that as a free kick. There were a few questionable decisions on Sunday, particularly throw-ins on our side and who should have them. But that free kick definitely threw all of us.
Shane, you know what it was for?
No, we're not. I can't expect to get through a 90-minute game of football in the WSL and not have questionable referee decisions.
Yeah.
Am I surprised? No. Am I a bit mad? Yeah, because it cost us 3 points. But it goes back to something I think a few people said a couple of seasons ago when refs were a hot topic back then. We can't get into a position where it's always the officials' fault why we're not picking up points. We've got to be in control of that. We've got to make ourselves get 3 points and make the other team not be able to catch us up in a game. We were only 1-0 up from right at the end of the first half till right at the end of the second. We should have been 3 or 4-0 up. And it's, what, a 3-year ongoing comment of we need to take our chances.
Yeah.
At some point, I hope we get to that point where we are, because it's dragging on a bit now.
It is. Can I just get your general opinion? For me, I think the refereeing standard has actually gone down this season in the WSL. I've never seen so many poor decisions made by referees. Would you agree with that, or am I just watching a different game to you two?
I wonder if not having the fans there for so long and now having them back or that kind of thing. I was watching it in the ground rather than on the FA play or whatever.
Because that's where I was heading with it.
Yeah, because I'm thinking, go back to the City game. The referee got one decision right in that City game, and that was sending off the City player. It was a right decision. But then she got every other decision wrong. She was trying to equal it up, I think. I'm not saying there was bias there, but maybe there was. And I just think it's kind of gone downhill. The Chelsea game, we got battered, and I've got no issue with us being battered. What I do have an issue with is that an assistant referee is not giving 2 offsides offside. And I just think it's a conversation that I've been having with Chelsea, with Chelsea fans, with fans. We're all kind of saying the refereeing standards dropped a great deal, and I just wanted to get your opinion on it.
I think there's bound to be a bit more pressure on the officiating teams as a whole this season, because they've obviously brought in Bibiana Steinhaus to basically make all this rubbish better, and miracles aren't worked overnight, so she's got a task on her hands. But new TV deal, there's more publicity around the game, there's more exposure to the game. Fans are now back, where refs have had a season where they haven't had a slot calling them out on all these problems. They've had maybe a manager on the touchline calling them out on it once or twice a game. And I do think an element of it is the fact we weren't there for a year, and we're used to seeing it on telly and different angles and things like that, multiple replays, whereas we're back in the grounds, we're in the heat of the moment. There are things that, on face value, when you're in the stands, might look like a foul. You watch it back 2 days later on telling you go, actually, it's not a foul at all.
Yeah.
But so I think that's an element of it. You're in the moment in the ground, and there's an atmosphere. You're up. You want your team to succeed. So anything you can do to, as fans, we always pressure refs. We want the decisions to go our way. I don't want the other teams getting offside goals scored. I want them to be flagged offside when they're not onside. But equally, we get flagged offside when we're onside. So you can't be too picky sometimes.
Yeah, I will say it's like the liner on our side either gets the throw-ins right, but then doesn't get the offsides right, or vice versa. It's like they only make one lot of right decisions all game.
Yeah, like I said, it's an ongoing conversation I'm having with some people about the refereeing, and we're going to try and do a round table about a whole show about refereeing, so that could be interesting. But let's get back to some of the comments in here. Vicky says we're making hard work of scoring goals right now, and actually we are, which I think we're trying to play that perfect goal game again.
Yeah.
You agree?
Mm.
And then we're on the about the referees, awful every match. Agreed, Marc, some weird decisions. John Fry, definitely worse refereeing and so many costly errors. Vicky makes the point about the Chelsea game. They couldn't keep up with the line of the ball in the Chelsea game. Lineswomen couldn't run properly. John Fry says VAR is not the answer, though. And Sang says they have to be more professional, and God's sake, let's pay them a proper wage so they may be professional as a referee. And actually, he's right, because most of the WSL refs are not even full-time. But then, talking of refs, very simply, no comment. Ian, the only comment I need to make to you is that the way you lost it at Durham, I've got nothing but respect for you on that, because it was brilliant.
We finally brought him round to our way of thinking.
Yeah. And actually, I'm going to speak to Ian privately about the refereeing standard, because actually I need to get some bits from him. Let's talk about Leslie, because I think she needs to be talked about. She's come back from a very serious injury last season, and Marc's gradually played her into the starting 11. Fiona, is she the answer we've been looking for to score all the goals that we weren't scoring last season?
If she can stay fit. She's had a few injury issues now, and I hope we haven't rushed her back too quickly. I hope it's, they're over with now. I think she's shown her quality. She's still got room for improvement, though. She's young. There's always stuff that she can work on. My only concern is, are we playing the best style for her and getting the most out of her? Because we saw for the goal against Spurs, and we've seen it. I think United tweeted a video from training, or retweeted a video from training, from her beating the defender, running at them, and then scoring. I don't think we've seen enough of that from her this season. And I'm going to go with that's the style of play rather than her choosing not to do it. I think we need to see a bit more of that, a bit more using her speed, because we know she's strong. She's good at holding the ball up as well. But I think, like we've been saying about this season, we've been playing one way, and we need to be a bit more varied in that, so the defenders don't know, okay, she's just going to hold up the ball while I know what to do now. I think she can be that player that can score 10, 15 goals a season, but I don't think she should be the only one that's scoring lots of goals as well. So it's about Leah chipping in, Kirsty, Tuna, ideally Jackie as well.
I mean, Jackie has come close. I mean, I've had to pick Shane off the floor at Birmingham. I mean, there was just a couple of times. Vicky says about the referees, don't have to slate them as they are part-time, but this is professional needs to be better. Ian says, don't panic, it's only Elizabeth Sims in charge at Everton. Okay. Oh, well, I might just stay at home on Sunday. Vicky says, super proud of Leslie, amazing talent. Just give her the service and get another striker to take the pressure off her. John Fry says, Russo is a world-class number 9. She's the best all-round English number 9 in the league. And Sang says, she looks good. Let's hope she stays healthy. She needs better service if you want her to be top alone. And Vicky says, I think she just decided to take matters in her own hands on Sunday with that goal. Like she knew she had to make it happen for herself. And I would definitely agree with that. Vicky says Nat was on the steps at Brum. If that goal would have gone in, she wouldn't have just been on the steps, she would have been on the pitch.
Let's be honest, we all would have been on the pitch.
Yeah, probably.
If Jackie scores, we are on the pitch.
And so now there's going to be a bit of a disagreement. Sang says Beth England might take that spot. I'll let you and John have that one out, Sang. I want to talk a little bit about Hayley Ladd, because we've mentioned it before and we kind of need to. Towards the back end of last season, she picked up an injury. We don't know what that. I don't think we knew what the injury was. Did they say it was a hamstring? Was it, or did they not give us any information?
I can't remember.
I can't remember. It was last season. And she's not really been near the starting 11 this season. She's been on the bench. And when Millie picked up the injury, I think you said it before, Shane, she was going to be the centre-back defensive sub. Does she now have to start in midfield on Sunday?
Yes.
And is she that important to us to start this game?
Yes, and yes, in capitals. I
Okay.
think, we said it countless times what Hayley can do, and I think, I know Everton are still in their sort of sticky patch. They've changed manager, they've won a cup game, but I always hate it when we go up against these teams that have just made a change staff wise or just put someone else in, because I always feel like we'll be the ones that they suddenly turn it around against. And we've played Everton that many times now that, nothing's ever a given. Even I think we've lost once to them, but it never feels like it's going to be a guarantee. And nor should it in football. You should never walk into a game thinking we have absolutely got this 100%. But I'd love to feel like that, but I never do. So I think just having Hayley there, it gives you a bit more of assurance. I think you feel a bit more calmer when she's on the pitch.
Yeah, I mean, I think Hayley is a very important cog in our team, but I can't work out if she fits into the way Marc wants to play. And I want her in the team, and I think you have to find a way to get her into the team because she is that important. Just go through a few of the comments. Vicky says it's not if Jackie scores, Shane, but when.
Of course.
We're all waiting for it. John Fry in answer to Sang, all around Russo offers more than Beth England at the moment. Vicky says they were vague on why Hayley was benched a few weeks before. Yeah. John Fry, very simply, yes, she's a must to start. Sang says, I begrudgingly accept that Russo has a better all-around game and Beth receives better service from our midfield. Vicky says, Hayley's the bedrock of our midfield but needs a proper 8 and 10 in front of her. And we're coming on to that now. Right, we're going to come on to this bit right now. Okay, take a deep breath. Lad or Zellen on the team sheet first. And evening Marty and proper 8, Vicky is either is Boarisa and Tooney. And who's going to protect your back 4? And Sang, wait, Jackie hasn't scored. Yes, Sang, we know she scored for Chelsea. And Ian just basically says lad. So, Sunday, Shane, who basically, am I against you on Sunday in lineup league? Because if you are, I'm going to ask you for your team now so I can go opposite you.
I can't remember.
Right. So, do you start Hayley Ladd on Sunday?
Honestly, yes.
Do you start Boarisa on Sunday?
Yes.
Okay. And do you play Tooney in front as a number 10?
Maybe.
No, damn it! I'll write these down. So, what?
If you're asking me if I would and what I think someone else will do, is 2 completely different things.
Okay, fair enough. So there's a comment just gone in. I'm going to come to it. I still don't know after three in the seasons of watching Tooney, I still can't work out where her best position is. Is anyone else in the same boat, or is it just me? Because she plays a number 9 really well. She plays a number 10 really well. She plays the midfield really well, and she plays the right wing really well. So where do you?
I don't like her in the 9 position because it becomes that false 9 role, and I'm not saying she doesn't do a good job there. I just don't like that role, and that's just me being personal. It's nothing to do with who plays it. I just don't like that role.
Fiona, where do you think Tooney's best played?
I'd say a 10. I think if he plays as a false 9, it takes a little bit out of our game. For her as a 10, she's got energy. Let her run around. Yeah.
Right, let's just do some comments. come on, Sang, easy, lad. John Fry says lad. Karen says lad. Vicky then says Sang's on the wind-up. Marty says, I'm a lad Jackie and VBR fan. Hopefully I'll see them all in the midfield soon. I doubt it. I don't think those three could work. My personal opinion is I don't think those three could work together. Tooney is a number 10. Tooney is a number 10 all day long. Best with space in front of her. Tooney is a 10 with Russo as a 9 maybe from Sang. Through the middle of feeding the ball to Russo, whatever hashtag that is. And not maybe at Sang. That's a must. Right, let's just go quickly onto the Marty comment. Hayley, Jackie and Vilda, can you see that ever happening?
I don't know if Marc would drop Tooney for that.
Interesting point.
Maybe in an early FA Cup round.
It's an interesting
I'd
point.
be interested to see it, but I worry about the balance of it.
Yeah, I definitely would. I think for me, I think we've got too many class midfielders to fit into our formation. I think that, last year we didn't have enough, and now we've got too many to put in. Let's talk a little bit about our trip to the park on Sunday. Sorry, Walton Hall Park, Everton's ground. I didn't mean the park. Who knows what it could be.
We did. We're all just going to walk dogs, aren't we?
I'm going to stand on the outside and look over the fence.
Give me a piggyback. So anyway, I'm going to sit over a fence. Let's be honest.
We've got someone to push you on the swings.
Look at the services.
Yeah. Sunday's game. We've got 3 games coming up next week. Do you expect to see a lot of squad rotation between Sunday's game, Wednesday's game, and then Sunday's really important game against Arsenal? Shane?
Yeah, I do. And I don't know how comfortable I am with it. I mean, midfield is probably the easiest place to rotate. But it's the nature of the games. I mean, like I said earlier, Everton, it's just always one of them. You want to beat them, but they could be the one that you don't. And then you go to the middle of next week, it's City. I want our best team playing against City. I don't care that it's the Cup. I don't care it's a midweek. I know that the tradition is to rest players, but I want the best players playing in that game. It's a derby, and I want to win it. And likewise, Arsenal. But I think you have to get to a point as well where you recognise these are professional players and they are capable of playing 2-3 games in a week. How many times we see it with the men? I know they've done it for longer, but these are professional players. I can't buy into the notion that they can only play Saturday to Saturday or Sunday to Sunday because they're too tired if they play a weekend and a midweek. Don't buy into it at all. Yeah,
and it's an interesting. I'm kind of in the same boat as you with that one. I kind of want a strong 11 on Sunday. I would definitely want a strong 11 against Arsenal, and I want a strong-ish 11 against City. Just going to go through some of the comments before couldn't go to Fiona with it. Marty says Tooney could play on the wing if we played with Vilda, Hayley, and Jackie. And Vicky says maybe Jackie, Tooney, and Vilda against the low blocks. John Fry says only way it would work is if Tooney goes out on the right, which isn't right for Tooney. Ian's called it the Windy Council Park. I presume, Sang, this is your starting 11 for Sunday. Jackie's got an injury, so she won't be in that. But other than that, yeah, I expect that to be probably 10 of the 11. Vicky says she's looked at the weather forecast for Sunday. Says light rain, so we should be okay. They'll call it off because there'll be a kite flying somewhere near it. Marty says if Fuso is fit, she'll play. I presume, Marty, you're talking about the Conti game next Wednesday, because I don't think she'll play at all on Sunday. And Vicky says we'll be good to win them all. I tell you, if we can come out with 6 points and beat 9 points from that next week, I don't know what I'd do. I'd be wow. So John's just telling Sam that Jackie's injured. Without Everton first, you hope your game isn't delayed. It probably will be. Vicky says just use the subs as well. Get 5 of them on, finish the games off early, and make the changes. Actually, that's a cracking point. John Fry says we need 6 points from WSL and 3 points Conti Cup, and must. I know we're playing Arsenal. Norman, good evening. I haven't heard Lucy mentioned, and yes, in the Conti match. It's interesting because I'm one of those who, like you, Shane, I don't want a lot of changes made, but you've also got to expect the changes to be made. I expect Sophie Bagley to start against City. I think that's one. Fiona, we've seen pictures of her kicking a ball around. Do you expect Mill to come back in against City or even maybe Arsenal?
I see. I wouldn't chuck her.
Or is it too much of a risk?
I wouldn't chuck her in straight away. Get her playing in a Devs game, or give her 20 minutes off the bench when we're winning 3-0, something like that. Ease her in. Obviously, it was a freak accident that isn't something that would hopefully repeat itself. But don't want to rush her back just for having to get Millie in. I think we need to be sensible about that. Against Everton on Sunday, I wouldn't want to play her on their pitch either. With an injury. So I think that might, even if Jackie was 90% fit, you wouldn't want to risk her on that pitch coming straight back from an injury either. Now I wonder if that will impact his team selection. I see Lucy Stan starting one of the 3 games. Don't know which one. I have to have a think about that for lineup league. But I think her strength in midfield could be important in some of these games. And adding a bit of freshness if she starts one or the other. And I don't think Lucy's that. She's still one of our strongest midfielders, so I don't have a problem with that either. But like you guys have said, those three games are important. I would want a strong side against all 3 of them. If the Conti Cup game was somebody from the Championship or something like that, or one of the maybe lower WSL teams, then you'd go, yeah, you rest them then. But it's City. We always want to beat City. And if we want to progress from the group, we do need to get a result against them.
This is the point I was going to make. We've got to beat City. There's only the group winners guaranteed to go through to the quarters. So and to do it, you've got to beat them. We've already dropped a point, so you've got to beat City in this to really stand a chance of staying top or at any point.
The only thing is if they've rotated because of all the games that they've got on.
Let them rotate.
Because
we should have beat them in the league.
Yeah,
Let them rotate.
They're playing Chelsea on Sunday, so they're not going to play their weaker side there. So they might play some of their weaker players in midfield with their injury crisis. I don't know how much choice they have, but so if we maybe bring in somebody like Sophie Bagley or maybe Carrie or somebody else starts, maybe 1 or 2. But I don't want seeing wholesale changes for the Conti Cup game because it's the Conti Cup.
Right. So let's get into that just very briefly. We're going to go into some of the comments. Vicky says, think it's too early for Millie. Expect after the international break. John Fry says it's too early for Millie. Marty asks, do you think he'll play Manuela Maria, Hannah and Honor for all 3 matches? But then John Fry goes, Kirsty Smith might play in the Conti. Now, I think he's going to rotate the Conti team. I really do. I think Sophie Bagley's going to play. Vicky says, sorry, we need to do better in the cup. Kirsty would be good, but Harris would be a smart sub move versus City. We have to beat them. Vicky says the league is more important for City. They got you on Sunday, Sang. So let's briefly say, do you reckon he's going to change any of the fullbacks for the Conti game? Because I think he will.
I do think he will. How happy I am with it, I don't know, but I think he will.
Because last season, so here's the other one. Do you think Sophie Bagley will play in the Conti?
I'm 50-50.
Fiona, does Sophie Bagley start next week?
I think so. I think he's probably got some sort of agreement that she's Cup keeper for this season.
Okay, so I'm agreeing with Fiona. I've got Sophie Bagley starting. Pity Deb Hamilton's not here because the next question is: do you think Kirsty Smith will start the Conti Cup game? Shane?
I can see it happening because we started Martha at right back against Durham. Obviously, Kirsty was still out injured then, but she's now back. So I guess it depends on what stage of her recovery she's back at. But you know, if you are going to rotate in the cup, then maybe that's a position you could rotate in.
So on some of the comments, Vicky says she thinks that Martha might play. She also agrees with Bagley that will start. John Fry says Bagley will start. And then Vicky says Smith probably not fit enough. Can you see him playing, though, if he has to? Can you see Honor, Hannah, Maria and Aoife playing all 3 games? I guess we'll have to, won't we?
If he has to, yes.
Now, very interesting. Norman's just put in the comment I was going to come to. Or could we put Hayley Ladd into the back 4? To play then Vilda, Zelly and Tooney. Would you be happy with that?
She's played right back before for us, and she's played centre back for Wales, I believe. So she's not going to be unfamiliar.
Would you be happy with that if he put in Hayley Ladd into a back 4 and played Zelly, Vilda, and then Tooney as your number 10?
Depending on the game, maybe.
Okay, Arsenal.
No, I'd definitely want Aoife and Maria there for that.
All right, City in the Conti.
You're toying with me now, aren't you?
No, I'm asking good questions.
You like watching me squirm.
That's why I get paid the big bucks. Sorry, I don't get paid for this.
Yeah, I mean, look, it goes completely against what I was saying earlier, doesn't it? But because it's the cup, I'd have more acceptance of that being a thing or being trialled.
Okay, Fiona, would you be happy with Hayley playing back defensive midfield for us, a central defender for us against City potentially? Not that we know it's going to happen. We don't know the team news.
If City were not playing their strongest 11,
yeah, but we're not going to know that till an hour before kickoff.
Exactly, but I think if they were to go full strength, I'd prefer to have her in midfield with Maria.
Do you think it's one of those where it gets one of those suspicious injuries in the warm up and we have to make a last minute change?
Possibly. But Vicky put it in the comments earlier. The league is more important for City than the Conti. Would you agree with that, Fiona? Or Shane, whoever.
I don't know. I think for them it's Champions League, isn't it? And that's probably why league is more important.
Given their start in the league, yes, the league's more important for them than getting out of the Conti group this season. But it's cup, it's a chance for a trophy, isn't it? And City have won it in the past. So, you know, they're one of 3 teams, 3 only teams that have won that competition. So they like it.
They've still got the FA. Are they out of the FA Cup now? So they might want to.
No, they're out of last season's FA Cup.
Yeah.
Don't start me on that.
Instead.
Don't start me on that one. So Vicky says she prefers Hayley at number 6. John says no, Ladd plays centre back for Wales in a back 3, not a back 4. But I think if she can play in a back 3, I think she can do it possibly. Vicky says the Arsenal game has already given me nightmares enough. Sang says Ladd must play in front of the defence. Let's be solid against Arsenal. Ladd at number 6. I think that's where I'll play her there against Arsenal. Sang, these are serious questions, Shane, but we enjoy watching you squirm. It is fun sometimes. Vicky says Gareth Taylor needs to save his job. John Fry says City need top 3. Marty says might have a better chance in the Conti, but had a tough start in both. If you lose the Champions League, impacts on recruitment next season and plays out of contract next season like Lucy Bronze. Sang, yeah, they need Champions League. If they don't get the league, they're going to lose players and they are out. Right, we're almost coming up to time. Shane, what would you take as a pure minimum from the next 3 games?
Oof.
I'm going to work mine out because I've just... Fiona, you got a bit of thinking time. Or Fiona, I think, already knows the answer. Go on, Fiona, you go while he squirms.
I'd say 6 points.
Is that including the Conti?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think I know your logic, and I think I agree. I'd ambitiously want. I'd want 7 minimum, just because. But I think 6. I wouldn't turn my nose up at 6, obviously. But I'd want 7 as a minimum because I don't want to lose a game.
Well, 6 points, you could be getting 2 draws in there and winning the penalty shootout and the Conte as well. But I'd rather have 2 wins. Rather have 2 wins than 2 draws.
Exactly. If there's got to be a draw out of these 3 games, I'd rather it against Arsenal.
Yeah, I think I would agree with that.
I think a draw against Arsenal, how Arsenal have been playing this season, and let's not sugarcoat, they'd be Barcelona result aside, Arsenal straight up fire this season again. They're back to how they were a few seasons ago. So if we can get a point against Arsenal, I'll take that all day.
Yeah, I think I'm looking at a minimum of 6 as well. I said 6 points. I'm not. We've got to beat Everton.
100%.
I think it's an absolute must to beat Everton. I think if we can get anything from Arsenal, I'll take that. Anything at all. And I'm a local guy. You all know how I feel about City. A derby is one of the most important games to me. And I've not seen a derby win live the last time I saw a derby win live was March 2020. I need to see one live, so I need to see us beat City on when. That's what I need, but that's just me. But if we can get 7 points, singing and dancing all the way, mate, I love it. And everyone out, Vicky says 3 points and a cup win. Sang says 7 points minimum. Vicky then says what we want and what we get there are 2 very different things. Sang says, remember how we're chasing 3rd spot. Serious on 3 points and a cup win. On current form, sorry to say, Arsenal will be easily, if we play on normal way, recently. We're about to come out to time, so I just want to thank Shane and Fiona. Thanks, guys.
Pleasure as always.
See you Sunday.
Yes.
See you Sunday. Make sure you bring your ice cream money so we can go and get a 99 after from the ice cream van. Thanks everyone for watching. Thanks for all your comments. And we'll see you soon. Deborah will be on in a few weeks with a podcast. Thanks everyone for watching. Take care.
Final reminder to check your emails for any members as well.
Yes, check your emails, please. It's important. This information has to go tomorrow by 1 o'clock. So we're giving everyone till noon tomorrow to answer the emails. Just very quickly, there's some comments just come in. If you lose to Everton, I will be in inspired form on the next podcast. You always are, Sang. Let's not take that away from you. If we don't take points from Everton, I don't see us challenging 3rd. Ref says, see you Sunday. Thanks from Marty. Thanks, guys. Great show from Vicky. Bye, guys. And thanks for a great. Could be safe. And Deborah's put in. I'm sure it was a great show. Being on the phone with Nat. So much love. See you Sunday. Thanks, guys. Take care. Bye.
See ya.